Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, the 30th of May, 2023. Another session for our Tuesday and Thursday webinars. We do current market analysis, go through some trades, and generally try to help you along your journey. I'm just going to wait a minute or so just to allow some other people, which I can see logging in, logging in. I hope everybody had a good weekend. In the UK, we had a bank holiday yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how the markets open up or opening up. We're going to take a look very, very shortly. I will just give a couple, maybe another 10, 15 seconds for other people to join, and then we can go straight to it. As I always do, I start off with literally a 3-minute PowerPoint thing. So just bear with me and I'll just run through some of the stuff. Those of you who are new, a bit about myself, head of trader education, 20 plus years in trading, traded just about everything. I know and understand how markets move. I do both discretionary and systematic trading. I develop algos for myself and others. I also mentor and do market analysis on these types of webinars. I'm pretty good at, if I say so myself, on market patterns and managing risk. This is something that you as a trader kind of have to develop along your journey. As with all my webinars and all my education, I always start with a risk disclaimer. Please do take a few seconds just to read the risk warning. Everybody should know who's on this webinar. Trading is risky. Make sure you know what you're doing, and it's not for the reckless. Today we're going to cover. We've done the introduction. We're going to look at some trades which I took last week, and I'll show you how I set them up and how I closed them in profit. And by going through this exercise with you, it kind of helps you understand how to do it on sort of consistent basis. I also look at requests from attendees. If they've got any particular chart, any particular trade they're running right now, they want me to have a quick look at it and give an unbiased opinion of what the setup is and what your targets and stops may be. I can definitely do that. We're going to look at see what's happening on the news front. As we all know, news announcements move markets, so we should always be aware of upcoming news events. We're also going to look at the free Zenfinex tools, which are completely free, and how you can incorporate them into your trading. And then obviously I'm going to show you how to access them, and if necessary, and if you have any questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end. But I always encourage people just to sort of ask questions as they go along, as it comes to them, and I'll try, if I see them quick enough, to start sort of giving you some of my feedback. And I will come back to this slide. This is how to access the free tools plus Zenfinex. And the tools we're going to cover today, at the end of the webinar, is some of the tools that are available and how you can incorporate them and use them in your own trading. So let's go straight to charts now, and which is the most interesting part, I always find. And let's make sure you're seeing the same screen as me, which you're not. So let's start again. Charts. And now you should be seeing my charts. Okay, so those of you who watched last Thursday's webinar saw that I had a running gold trade. Please go back to that video and watch how I set it up. It was actually running in profit on Thursday, I think it was, and I found an opportunity to, through analysis, wait till it generated some more profit, and I ended up with a 2,700. On Friday, I don't really like to take too many trades because I don't like really holding positions over a long weekend. So I took a couple of trades. We can talk about those. You can ask me questions about those, but they were really just in and out type trades. with a smaller trade size than I normally do, purely for a bit of fun and making sure that I didn't run into the weekend. So let's just go to the gold trade, which I took an entry price of 1967. I exited from a short position at 1940. So if I go to the gold chart, we can have a look at how we set it up and why I got out. I think, let's see if I can get a better chart than this. Okay, yeah, let's just look at this chart here. So when we were doing some analysis, and by the way, once I've run through these trades, we'll do the top-down analysis as well. We'll see if there's any trades setting up. And if I see anything, I will probably take it because the start of the week is always interesting because you can tell general market direction from sort of analysis. Everybody knows I sort of look at slightly longer term views as well. But we can see here really since October, markets have been grinding up. This important peak at this point here was a signal to me that this upward move could be coming to an end. And we took this particular trade at 1967, which is when it broke down from this consolidation area. So let's go to the 4-hourly. And those of you, and again, look at my Thursday video, and I think I did the setup and the analysis on that day. And let's draw the area that I was really interested in. Let me make that orange because I've been using orange on previous webinars, so I'll just continue with that. So there's some sort of continuity here. So we looked at this consolidation, we looked for a breakout. We said that we were going to wait for a pullback. It pulled back, and if I just squeeze this a little bit more to a smaller time frame, it will make a little bit more sense. And so what I'm really trying to show you here is just the consistency of doing the same thing over and over again. So while we were stuck in this sort of, from 17th April, for 10, 12 days, very difficult to take a trade because, again, as everybody knows who, watches these videos, watches YouTube, when they're uploaded, you can see I do the same thing. I try not to go against the trend, and I couldn't really find a trend. And I did say that when it breaks out this consolidation, it'll probably hit the top of this level here, which it did do. It came back, retested, and what gave me the idea about going short was that every time after this important exhaustion bar, it tried to get back up there, couldn't, came back into the consolidation zone. And when it tried to bounce out of the consolidation zone, it couldn't get past these previous highs. So that gave me an indication that I've really got to be looking at shorts. I wanted to see how it behaved within this consolidation period. And I took a breakout of this consolidation on the downside. So I think, as I mentioned here, we got in at 67. So if I just draw a line at 67, it must have been around here. And it was on the 25th, I think it was. Right, so it must have been around here. So I took a short. And on Thursday's webinar, we were, bit in profit, always a temptation to get out early, but I saw that the weakness was going to persist, and I actually ended up getting out at when I found some support here. So around this level here, there was a possibility that this consolidation was going to go up and retest some of these previous levels. So I thought, look, let me just bank $2,700 and we'll go from there. And on Friday, I wanted to just mention that we're setting up a live trading room where I will take live trades in that live trading room. And anything that I say setting up, I will, call them out on that trading room, basically. So if anybody's interested, please send a message and I will invite you to the live trading room. Took a few small trades here. One hit target, one was on the JPY. And I think we covered the JPY and we found that after a call that I made here where we got a pullback to a fib level, it really did continue going up. And on Friday, I took another pullback and I didn't really want to run it into the weekend. So I just took some profit and called it a day. And a couple of others, the euro dollar, I was trying to take a buy on the euro dollar, but I'm glad I didn't, or got out with some profit, because it was demonstrating, I'm trying to go against the trend is what I'm really trying to say. Look, I took a buy, and anybody should be able to, even a novice can tell you you're in a downtrend. So it's important that when we do our top-down approach, we don't ignore, what we see visually with our own eyes. So the reason why I took the buy, let's see, when was that? Let's go on to the 4 hourly, or hourly, I should say. So I think, I can't remember. It's clearly a short. So I probably just took a little bit out of it, thought the better of it, and thought, why am I going against the trend? And got out. And it's really heading back to this previous level that we had drawn, and the euro dollar had come back to. So that's just really a review of the trading for the last few days. Let's now do what I normally do, is do a sort of top-down approach, get rid of all these lines, reinstitute the lines, and just see how we're doing in terms of the market. I think we've got a few more people coming in. I just want to welcome everybody, and if you have any questions, let me know. If you've missed the first 5-10 minutes of it, this will be uploaded on YouTube, so you can watch the first bit that you might have missed. Please don't be shy if you want to ask any questions, and I will try to answer them in mid-flow. So again, I'm going to do exactly what I do every single time. I'll start with a weekly. I get rid of all my lines, and I start again. And I've mentioned this many times over. The reason I start with a clean chart is because I want to see how recent price action has behaved. And if I have stale lines in there, I mean, it may be that I put the same lines back in again, but if I have stale lines, they can affect my my trading. So I'll literally start from top down. We're on the euro dollar. Let's see what it's doing. So we can see here from a weekly perspective, we've got a couple of levels of support and resistance, and that's what I'm really trying to do. I could put lots more, but why bother? The market's going to be trapped in this level here. I mean, I could, actually, I might just put another one here, but I think the daily will pick that up anyway. But I can see a level here where prices broke through resistance, broke through support, and now looks like we want to head here. So we'll leave that weekly one in there. Let's go to the daily. And as I say, I'll just do this every single time, every single morning, get rid of the lines, put them back in, because as I said, you sometimes see new things appearing. So now we're on the daily chart. Let's magnify it a little bit. And we can see here that I really want to adjust this weekly up a little bit to capture this triple top on the euro dollar from a daily perspective. A very weak signal. So, we were right to be shorting this really, or should be looking for shorts. And, the next level of support, I'll just make this a little bit more accurate, because I can see here that this price at 0.527 is important. And why that's important is that if we do find an opportunity to go short on this trade, then I can see where my targets are going to be. And the other thing that, we can spot straight away, my main tool, um, is the channels. Prices move in channels, and whilst I don't trade the channels per se, it gives me a very, very quick visual understanding of, are we in an uptrend? Have we broken an uptrend? And clearly we can see here, from August, it's been sort of grinding up, broke some previous highs here, and generally showing strength. But look what it did as soon as it came to this level here, which is 1.1050-ish, something like that. Triple top, couldn't get past this previous. Your mindset should immediately switch to, how can I find shorts? And the key areas that we're really going to look for is any trading opportunities around here. So now what I'm going to do is drill down a little bit deeper now. And, if you have any questions, please ask. But this is what I do every single day. I use price action. I don't use indicators, oscillators, moving averages, because in my trading, I don't find them helpful. I never try to knock anybody else's strategy, because trading's hard enough. Whatever works for you, and this is what works for me. Up channel broken, starting to grind its way down. We have some level of support here. Now we're looking to see, okay, now that we've got this information, how can we look for trading opportunities? What things could get in the way of this short idea? So we've got a couple of areas of consolidation. And so the 3 or 4 tools that I use is trend lines, channels, consolidation areas, breakouts. And that's basically my strategy from a discretionary perspective. I do have algos which I trade, and they just do their thing, and I just let them do what they need to do, and they are built over many, many years, and doing very well. So let's just have a look at what's happening right now. So the euro dollar from the 1 hour perspective, so we're drilling down, we've put longer term perspectives in. I know that my mindset is looking for a short opportunity. So if I now drill down from an hourly perspective, let's have a look at what else might affect us. So as we look at this area here, we can see that clearly this is an area of consolidation, right? Got high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, try to break out, immediately smashed back into it, eventually broke over. It's not dissimilar to gold, but now we can see that where we are from an hourly perspective is we're now going back into this consolidation. So all this up move has been mitigated by this downward channel here. And if I just look where we are right now, and I might just extend this a little bit just so we can see it. So we can see here, for a good 3 months, euro couldn't get out of this price here. And now what are we doing? We're going literally back into it now. So now, what do we do? Clearly showing a retrace right now. So what we need to do is we need to see how it behaves in this area here. Is it going to reject this and start a move up, which it could quite easily do, or is it going to form some consolidation around this area here and then look for a downward move back to these weekly levels? And that's what we're going to be looking at. So when we do approach this area here, and remember, this analysis is not only about looking for trading opportunities, it's also seeing where we are and how we can look at upcoming setups, basically setups that are upcoming and that they could affect what we're going to do. So when I approach these consolidation levels, because it's not even just this area here, this area here, this area here. So just by drawing it in, we can get a bit of an idea. Let's expand that. Let's see if I just have a look. Yeah, and I just want to expand this. Well, let me just draw a new one. Mess around too much. So we can see here, right, this whole area has been important and we're just about to go back into it. Tried to break out, hit a triple top. So what I expected to do is actually to consolidate a little bit. But what that will do, that consolidation will give me some indications of where it might go next. So I'm going to hold fire from doing anything on the euro dollar. Let's have a look at gold. So we took a short position, we took a nice bit of chunk out of the market. And now I want to get rid of everything and say, okay, where are we? Let's go to the daily in this. Got some bad data here. For some reason, I can't get rid of it, but I'm more interested in what's happening here. So we've got some fib levels here. The upward channel has now come to the bottom of this channel here. We're at roughly 1937, so I could have actually squeezed a bit more profit out of it. But as I said, my rationale was I didn't want to hold a nice profitable position over the weekend. I thought, let me just bank it, and then I can have another crack at it when it goes in there. So I'm going to get rid of everything, and we're going to start again. And again, this may sound tedious and laborious to some, because you put all that effort putting those lines in and then you get rid of them straight away. The important thing is now I can get a bit of a perspective on what is happening, including new price action, because I'm looking for a new trading opportunity, right? So let's start putting our sort of daily levels in. So we can see here that prices resisted, broke out, support, broke out. So we have a couple of levels which we need to keep an eye on. Now, if I expand that a little bit more, and I will just, I'll show you the up channel that I was looking at, which we seem to be at the bottom of now. Again, really cool indication of, is it going to maintain this upward channel? We're right at the bottom of that channel, which we drew, a few weeks ago. And what tends to happen when you reach a channel here is that it will either continue its channel and break through this, this double top on the daily perspective, or it's going to start revisiting some areas here. So now this is where I start putting my fib levels in. Those of you who don't know how to use fibs, I'm going to be doing a webinar on fibs very shortly. And I try to simplify everything that I do. There is so much information out there that it can be quite daunting. So we can see here, this fib level the bottom of the channel has hit the bottom of this 50%. If you watch my previous videos from previous days, you'll see that we were expecting it to do that. We expected it to hover around here. And now what we have to do is to see what is the next move for gold. We're coming up to this level of resistance here because we had this resistance level here. It's come right to it. Now we're going to look to see, quite importantly, because what can happen when it breaks out of channels, there can be quite big moves either way, right? And what I need is some sort of indication that, is this channel still valid or is it no longer valid? We've got the 618 just below where we are right now, and it's also at a consolidation area as well. So let's just put a little bit of consolidation markings here. And if I just expand that a little bit, remember we're still on the daily at the moment, and I'm going to now go to the 4-hourly and try to make this a bit more accurate. In fact, if we look here, right, resistance, support. So it's clear to me that this whole level here now is going to be an interesting area for us to take a potential trade from. I want to see if it will come back and retest the top of this, this orange area here, And because we've got a 618 here, that's going to act as a level of support as well. So we're going to be looking to see if it breaks out of here, a retest here, and then we're looking to continue downwards. But I need some more information, more price data before it's Tuesday, beginning of the week for a Memorial weekend in the States, bank holiday in the UK. So we're going to just make sure that we just don't jump into something just because we feel like placing a trade, right? So this is a very key level. If I magnify this, you'll see how important it really is. Look, it's at the 50% fib level. It's at the bottom of our channel, and right below it, we've got a 618 and the top of the consolidation area here. So I'm looking for a bit of a retrace around here. Whether we get the retrace at the bottom of the channel, the top of the consolidation, or at the 618 level, we can see that this channel, it's still valid on the downside. So this is an intersection of two channels. The longer term up channel here, right? And this is a move with inside that channel, and we're now coming up to some very key levels. So gold is going to react off these levels here. So we need to be mindful of that. Those of you who are interested in joining our trading room, we will be looking at these with live charts and analyzing it as price sort of develops and looking to place trades. If anybody's interested, just put in the chat box so you're interested. There is a chat facility on here that you can ask me, can I join your live trading room, and we'll extend that invitation to you. Although it looks like a lot of lines, we produce these lines within 2 or 3 minutes, but it's now given me a very clear idea of what I want to do. I'm not going to jump into anything. I'm not going to take a short or a long, because this whole area now is very, very important. It's at the 618 fib level. It's at the top of the consolidation that we talked about here. It's had a nice move down the bottom on the lower channel. So now we need to figure out what's going to happen next. After a move like this, if it's going to maintain the longer term channel, it will bounce upwards and then retest this, this wick here. Or if there's sufficient weakness, it will just keep maybe even consolidating a little bit further here. So very interesting pattern, which I'm going to keep an eye on. So that's gold. We've done the euro dollar. Let's do the FTSE, the UK 100 index. I know a lot of people trade that in the UK, so I'm just going to spend a bit of time looking at this. We had this consolidation zone, and we can see that we're again at the 50% fib level. And I'm now going to really go back and get rid of all these lines and start the top-down approach again on the FTSE. See if we can find a trade on the FTSE. Get rid of everything. Let's expand that a little bit. So we can see here from a weekly perspective, we've got a major level of resistance here. Hit this level here, couldn't get up to it back in 2019. Had a go at it, and from a daily, I'll create another one on top. But we can see also that prices moved away rapidly when it reached this level here. Interesting, there's a gap there, but we won't bother spending too much time on gaps at the moment. So now we've got a weekly frame. You can see here that our upward channel from a daily perspective, let's put the top in as well. When if anybody has a question, I'll happily answer it. If you ask me, how do I create these channels? I'm happy to show you. But I always use a best fit approach. Sometimes say, well, you didn't use the top of this candle, you didn't use the body of this candle. For me, it's a best fit that I'm looking for. From a daily perspective, we can see here, we have resistance, 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 broke out, broke the support, retested the resistance, broke out, and we're back exactly at that level here. So clearly we're at an inflection point, I think, with not only just the UK index, but also gold and euro, because they're all, behaving at levels which, are important at the moment. And I'll certainly be looking for some trading opportunities, but I need some sort of confirmation. So where are we in terms of the up channel? Just about hugging onto it. There is a case to be made that, is it still part of this? I'm not going to trade the channel. I just want to know where we are. As you can see here that this last peak didn't go higher than that. So now, from a 4-hourly perspective, you can see a lot of noise, a lot of volatility around here from a 4-hourly perspective. So clearly, we had some news that sort of affected it. This upward move couldn't get past this consolidation area here. Let's mark that in. As it retested that, great selling opportunities right at this weekly resistance for it to come back down. And we can start looking at where the fib would be. So we draw a fib. By the way, I also have a 27 on here as well, because for breakouts, it's a great turning point level. When I do my fib level, I'll explain each of these different fibs and how you can utilize them and what they can tend to mean, whether they're a continuation, on the 23 and 38, or whether it's a retrace in the 61.8 to 50 levels, and how the 87 level can actually also be quite interesting, which I don't have marked here. In fact, if I marked it, it would probably be right at this point here. So it's interesting. So we're at the daily 4-hourly perspective. Here's our frame. Here's our fib levels. We're bouncing between the 38 and 50 level. So I now will draw a consolidation area here. And it's a breakout of this area is where I'm looking to see if it breaks out back and continues this sort of upward channel, or if it's a breakdown, it means this channel's broken down and we could be heading, back down to this sort of level here. So not much trading opportunities right now, but they're gearing up for it. I can actually see, where it could be interesting for the FTSE as well. If there are any more questions, if there's any questions, please let me know, because I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and just talk about some of the tools that we use. In fact, let me just go to the tools. One of the things on our agenda was to see what news. Let me just make sure you're seeing this. So this is the Plus Zenfinex website that I talked about. These are the free Zenfinex tools you can use. Some of them are really cool. And the one that I always go to first is the calendar, right? So we're able to, with this calendar, to do a lot more in-depth analysis than we would if it's just a straightforward, there's this news coming out or that news coming out or whatever. Those of you who watch my previous webinars, you'll see that what I like using is this tool here, which is looking at what happened when the news was announced on previous occasions. And that can give me a little bit of an idea that once the news has been announced, how far prices can move as a result of that news. So let's just show you what I do. I look at the news, and basically it's saying, and from a pure technical perspective, I don't spend too much time on understanding what CV consumer confidence is, or the Dallas Fed manufacturing index is. What I'm interested in is when this news item came out last month, what happened? What happened? Did it do better than previous? And is the current one better or worse than forecasted? So the forecast for the consumer confidence in May is 100. The previous was 101. So let's see what the forecast from previous months. So this is April 25th. The previous, so this is consumer confidence, which clearly is getting worse, right? Because the previous was 104, the forecast was 106, so it did worse than the forecast from the previous news announcement. Why is that important? Because when the news is announced this time, we can get an idea on that weakness or strength and how it could affect, in this example, the euro dollar, but you can, see what impact it had on any of a selected number of index. I will always look at the British pound being in London. So there was not that much movement from previous. It was the euro that actually was more impacted. Let's see if I can show you that. See how the euro behaves slightly differently to the British pound. So this is a pretty cool tool. We looked at the news, the impact of news last month, April the 25th. The actual was less than forecast. That, from a 4-hourly perspective, meant prices came down. Now, I know you might say, well, I can just look at the charts, but this is a really great way of doing it quickly and efficiently. And I can even go back further and look at, let's say, March event. So that was 103. The forecast was going to be lower. It actually did better, right? So now we can start getting an idea that if the forecast is better or worse, we can get some sort of directional bias on what will happen to price when the news comes out at 3 o'clock London time. So we can see here, actual was better than forecast, made the euro dollar go up. Last time, the forecast was 106. It did worse than worse than forecast, and euro came down. So if we look at what is the forecast for today, it's 100, right? So if we get a number, depending on obviously what we're trading, better or worse than forecast, we can be kind of a little bit prepared in terms of understanding, which directional buy should we have. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not, but it's just more of an indication on whether it will be helpful or not. Are there any questions about this? Please put them in the chat box, and I'm happy to sort of go through them. In addition to, this really cool calendar, there are other features on this free portal, for example, featured ideas. So featured ideas will look and scan the markets and look for patterns and present those patterns to you. For example, the New Zealand CAD, it may be that you don't trade that necessarily, but the pattern has appeared here where it says opportunity recognized May the 30th, which is today, for a period of up to 12 hours. So what they're saying is they found an inside bar bullish. So what inside bar bullish means is that this bar is inside the previous bar. Now, in this occasion, it came down. Remember, we were looking for a bullish momentum. So this one actually didn't work out because we were expecting the breakout to be on the upside, but it wasn't. But there's still 12 hours. Although it doesn't give stops and targets, it's saying generally that the New Zealand Canadian is bullish. Let's have a look at technical views. And, there will be separate webinars for each of these tools, but this is more of a looking for trade setups on price action. But so we can see here the USD CAD from an intraday perspective, they're expecting it to go up, and they give the reasons for that, right? So, and remember, these are independent analysis. They may not be the same as what I think or what you think, but there's certainly a learning tool where you can see how other analysts are sort of looking at the market. For example, they're looking from a 30-minute perspective, and the long position above a certain level, this level here, with a target and, an extended target as well. So, a first profit, second profit scenario. If it goes below 35.40, so they've marked off 35.40, They're using, you know, a 20 moving average and Bollinger Bands and RSI. As you know, anybody who knows me, I don't use any of that. I purely look at price action, but I know some of you might be, having these same types of indicators on there. I haven't found them to be that useful to me, so I don't really talk too much about them. Let's have a look at the euro. Is there a euro dollar? So we were saying from our analysis that from a 30-minute perspective, remember we were saying from our chart perspective that, and if I just go back to that, let's compare our analysis with this. So let's go to this, let's go to the charts, let's go to the euro dollar. Now, from a daily perspective, they're calling a, just double check before I say I shouldn't. Euro dollar bullish, bearish. They're looking for a continuation back into this consolidation area from a 30-minute perspective. So if we go to 30 minutes, we can see here that we're still inside this channel. We're breaking into this previous consolidation area. So you look, the point I'm really trying to make is that, use the analysis that works for you. It's, and I always say to people, there's a million ways to trade the market. It's what resonates with you and what works for you. So they're calling it back into this consolidation area because it's still within, the trend, but I've seen some consolidation, so there may be some volatility around that, and it's not a trade that I would particularly take. Okay, look, I'm going to finish up. I've done 40 minutes. I try to keep these to 40 minutes, otherwise they start getting too long. I just go back to this. We've just looked at technical views, featured ideas, and look, if you want access to this, it's totally free. And if you want access to the live trading room, just send an email to me. I'll give you my email address in a second. Simply sign up for Plus Zenfinex, and you'll get all those tools that we just had a look at, and see how they resonate with you. I'll give it a few seconds to see if there's any questions. Let's go back to the front screen with my email address. For those of you who want to contact me, I always try to answer as many questions as I can. Okay, so I'm just looking to see if there's any questions, and there doesn't seem to be any. And on that note, I'm going to call it a day. Hope to see you guys on Thursday. We'll see how this this consolidation area holds up, and see if there's any trades setting up, what have you. And if I do see any, I'll take them, and we can review them and see how we get on with them. So on that note, I shall say have a good day, and see you on Thursday. Thank you.